You ever notice how people cling to walls? 4 of them to be exact. Brick, cement, maybe some drywall if you're lucky. They call it home. They fill it with pictures, couches, memories, illusions. And then they walk around like kings in a castle that could crumble with a single gust of truth. Funny, isn't it? This obsession with places, with things, with the idea that a roof makes you safe and a key makes you in control. But what happens when the whisper comes? That quiet little nudge in your mind that says it's time to let go. Most people don't hear it. Or maybe they pretend they don't. They look around. They count what they might lose. The chair they sat in every night. The walls they cried against. The kitchen where they reheated broken dreams in microwaves and told themselves it was dinner. Ah, comfort. That soft little cushion people sink into, thinking it's safety. The warm blanket they wrap around their dreams until those dreams suffocate. See, comfort's a sneaky little thing. It doesn't knock on the door like danger does. It doesn't scream or stab or chase you down an alley. No. Comfort whispers. It slides in through the cracks, makes itself at home in your habits, and before you know it, you're stuck in a loop. Same chair, same thoughts, same regrets, swirling around like smoke in a locked room. You don't even notice you're choking on them. People love comfort because it's predictable. Predictable pain is still better than unpredictable freedom, right? They'd rather wear shoes a size too small than walk barefoot on the unknown. Because if you stay still long enough, you convince yourself that the ache is just life. Not a warning, not a signal, just how it is. How it's supposed to be. But that's the joke. That's the grand illusion. Because deep down there's this flicker. A little spark of madness. A little scream behind the smile that knows comfort isn't safety. It's a cage, a padded one, sure, but a cage nonetheless. Letting go of it, oh, that terrifies people. Because letting go means standing in the middle of a storm without an umbrella. It means admitting that everything you called stable was just scaffolding built on sand. And no one likes to admit they built their life on sand. They'd rather pretend the tide isn't coming in. But when it does, oh, when it does, they cry. Not because they're drowning, but because they miss the illusion. They mourn the fake walls more than they embrace the open sky. That's how deep the claws of comfort go. Right into the soul. But here's the delicious part. Once you finally step away from it, once you choose the chaos, something changes, your senses sharpen. You hear the world breathing again. You feel the weight lift, not all at once, no, it's slower, like peeling back a mask. One layer at a time until you see what was underneath. And it's not what they told you. It's not fear. It's freedom, raw, untamed, a little wild, maybe even ugly in the beginning, but real? Real in a way that comfort never was. Comfort will tell you, stay. This is enough. You've done well. But purpose, purpose is a lunatic. It grabs you by the collar, laughs in your face and says, that's cute. Now burn it all down. Because purpose knows that the version of you hiding under soft blankets and broken clocks will never become who you were meant to be. Purpose doesn't care about your couch, or your lease, or your collection of framed memories from a life that never really made sense. It cares about the fire in your chest, the one you tried to smother, the one that whispered there's more, when everyone else said be quiet and be grateful. So what happens when you finally listen to that whisper? You lose things. Oh yes, you lose plenty. You lose people who only loved the comfortable version of you. You lose plans you once called the future. You lose sleep and pride, and sometimes your mind, just for a moment. But what you gain, what you gain, is something the world can't sell, and no one can fake. You gain yourself. The real you, the one that's been clawing to get out while you played house with mediocrity, the one that doesn't fit in the neat little box society wrapped for you with a bow labeled normal. And no, it's not easy, it's not clean. You'll trip, you'll fall, you'll question everything, but that's how you know it's working. That's how you know the comfort is dying and the transformation is beginning. People will look at you like you've lost your mind. Maybe you have. Maybe that's the point. Because the old mind, the comfortable one, was never going to take you anywhere but back to the same room with the same walls and the same slowly sinking feeling in your gut that this couldn't be it. Not after everything you've been through, not after everything you've felt. There's something more, something messy, something magnificent waiting just outside the border of your comfort zone, laughing, waiting for you to finally walk away from everything that once kept you safe, but now keeps you small. People always say they want truth. They beg for it, scream for it, cry at night wondering why the world feels so wrong, so fake, so hollow. But when you hand them truth, when you strip the layers, tear down the curtain and hold it in front of their face, they flinch. They blink, they turn away. 'Cause truth isn't soft. It doesn't come with gentle hands and warm tea. Truth kicks in the door. It laughs while the lies scatter like cockroaches. It doesn't apologize for showing up late. It was always there. You just weren't ready to see it. Isn't it funny how people decorate their cages? They call them homes, lives, careers, relationships. Add a little paint, throw in a promotion, maybe a vacation once a year, and voila, prison becomes paradise. But deep down, they know. You can smell it on them. The unease, the quiet panic, that gnawing feeling that everything they built is just off. Like a dream that's almost real but doesn't quite sit right. That's truth knocking, baby. Tapping on the glass with bloodied knuckles, whispering, "This isn't it. This was never." But they fight it. Oh, they fight it hard. Because facing the truth means facing themselves. And nobody wants to admit they've been sleepwalking for decades. Nobody wants to accept that maybe their job doesn't matter. That their friends don't really like them, that their relationship is a performance and their smile is a costume. So they keep dancing, keep clapping, keep laughing a little too loud at jokes that don't land, all to keep the illusion intact. Because once you crack it, once you let even a sliver of light in, it all starts to crumble. And that's when the chaos begins, the beautiful, glorious chaos of awakening. You start questioning everything. Why do I believe this? Who told me this was right? Why do I wake up every morning with a knot in my chest and call it normal? Suddenly, the things that used to comfort you feel suffocating. The conversations feel scripted. The news feels like theater. Even your thoughts start turning against you, not because they're broken, but because they're finally waking up. They've been locked in the dark for so long, they forgot what sunlight looked like. People around you won't like it. No. They'll say you've changed, that you're different, that you've become negative or cold or distant. But what they really mean is you're no longer playing the game. You're no longer nodding along to the lies. You're no longer pretending that mediocrity is noble, and that threatens them. Because if you can break free, then what does that say about them? About their choices, about their cage? It shines a light on their darkness, and maybe no one likes to be exposed. So they'll push, they'll guilt, they'll gaslight, try to pull you back into the play, offer you a better role, maybe even a standing ovation if you just behave. But once you've tasted truth, even bitter truth, you can't go back to sugar-coated poison. You'd rather starve than feed on lies again. You'd rather walk alone in the cold than sit by a fire built on manipulation. Because truth changes you, it scars you. It ruins you for anything less than real. And that's the curse and the gift. You begin to see the patterns, the way the system feeds off fear, the way they dangle carrots just out of reach to keep you running. Promotions, praise, prestige, all designed to keep you docile, to keep you believing that if you just play along a little longer, you'll finally arrive. But there is no arrival. There's just a loop, over and over, until one day you snap, or you wake up. If you're lucky, it's the second one. And when you wake up, it's not sunshine and rainbows. It's fire. It's rubble. It's the collapse of everything you thought you were. But in that collapse, something stirs. Something ancient. Something that was always waiting beneath the surface. The real you. The one who doesn't care about applause. The one who isn't afraid to stand in the wreckage and say, let's start over. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Because you'd rather build a messy truth than live in a polished lie. Because truth isn't a destination, it's a rebellion, a war, a declaration that no, you won't be bought, tamed, silenced, not anymore. You know what's funny? Not ha-ha funny, the other kind, the kind that stings in your bones. It's how people live their whole lives dancing to someone else's tune and then wonder why they feel like puppets. They take orders, they follow scripts, they swallow rules like pills and then choke on the side effects. But the real punchline, they never even check who's holding the strings. They never stop to ask whose voice they're echoing every time they say, this is just how it is. They act like freedom is this grand concept out there, something to chase, something to earn. But the truth, it's already inside, locked away, buried under layers of expectations, obligations, fear, Oh, fear. That's the glue holding the whole circus together. Fear of being alone, fear of being wrong, fear of being seen without the mask. They call it being polite, being mature, being normal. But what it really is suffocation in slow motion. You don't even notice it until it's all too quiet, too tight, too late. And here's the trick. When someone starts peeling off the mask, just a little, just enough to breathe, everyone around them panics. It's like watching someone escape from a burning building while everyone else insists the flames are just fancy lighting. Come back, they say. Don't ruin it for the rest of us. They stayed. They smiled. They obeyed. And now your freedom makes them look like cowards. So they'll hate you for it. Not because you hurt them, but because you remind them of their own chains. So people shrink, they lower their heads, they play nice, they bury the spark deep, deep down where no one can see it, especially themselves. And every time they do, it dies a little more. Every time they lie to themselves, I'm fine, this is enough, it's not that bad. They chip away at their soul until what's left isn't a person anymore. It's a shell, a product, a predictable, programmable, perfectly acceptable ghost wearing a grin. But some people, some don't forget, even when they try. Even when they drown in distraction, flood their lives with noise, they still feel it. That itch, that ache, that silent scream buried behind their eyes. They catch glimpses of themselves in the mirror and flinch, not because they're ugly, but because they're unfamiliar, strangers in their own skin. Living someone else's dream and calling it success. And then maybe, just maybe, something happens. A crack, a loss, a betrayal, the kind of pain that doesn't whisper, it roars. And for a second, the illusion shatters. You see it all, the lies, the fakery, the game, and you laugh. Not because it's funny, but because it's absurd. Because for years you thought you were crazy, broken, lost. But no, you were just awake in a world that begs you to sleep. That's when the fire starts. The real kind. The kind that doesn't burn skin, it burns delusion. And in its heat, you start shedding the roles, the labels, the masks. You stop saying what people want to hear and start speaking like your life depends on it, because it does. You stop tiptoeing around fragile egos and start stomping, dancing, screaming, because silence didn't save you. Playing nice didn't heal you. Compliance didn't free you. You realize that peace was never the goal, it was the bait. The shiny thing dangled in front of you to keep you from asking the real questions, like, who am I beneath the noise? What do I believe in when no one's watching? What would I become if I stopped apologizing for existing and the world won't clap? No parades, no thank you cards, just resistance, rejection, maybe even rage, but you won't care because for the first time you're alive, not functioning, not performing, alive, messy, loud, unruly. And it feels right, not easy, not safe, but real. Because truth isn't polite. It doesn't ask permission. It breaks in like a thief in the night and rips off the blindfold. And in that blinding light, you finally see it. Not just the world, but yourself. And you don't look away. Not anymore. Because once you know, really know, there's no unknowing. There's no going back. There's only forward. Through the fire, through the chaos, through the madness. Do you ever notice how people say they want peace, but all they ever chase is noise? They fill their heads with static, scroll for hours through lives that aren't theirs, laugh at jokes they don't find funny, talk just to hear something, anything, because silence? Oh no. Silence is dangerous. Silence is a mirror, and most people, they don't like what's looking back. See, silence doesn't comfort them, it confronts them. In the stillness, the masks fall off, the voices in their heads, the real ones. They start to get loud. You know the ones. You're not enough. You're fate. What if they find out and they run from it? Like scared little children hiding under the blankets, pretending the monster will just go away. But what they don't know is that monster, it's them. People will do anything to avoid facing themselves. Drown in company, bury themselves in work, turn the volume up on everything, music, TV, opinions, chaos, because if it's loud enough out there, maybe they won't hear what's going on in here. But when you go silent, when you stop dancing for them, stop clapping on cue, stop smiling when your soul's bleeding, that's when the fun begins. That's when you start noticing who's uncomfortable. And it's not you they hated. Your silence. It pokes at their wounds, makes them itch in places they thought they buried. It exposes something they worked hard to hide. Because when you don't react, they have to. When you stop playing the game, they realize it's a game, and not everyone wins. Some are just there to be pawns, to be watched, laughed at, used. And when you step off the board, it reminds them they never had to stay on it in the first place. You don't have to scream to be heard. You don't have to perform to be seen. You don't have to argue to prove you're right. Sometimes the most violent thing you can do is nothing at all. A calm stare, a quiet exit, a lack of response. That's what breaks them. That's what exposes the cracks, because they're used to puppets. And when one cuts the strings and just stands there, they panic. And you'll start to see it. Oh, you will. The rage behind the smiles, the jealousy behind the compliments, the bitterness behind the I'm happy for you. You'll start noticing how fragile people become when you stop feeding their illusions, when you stop giving them a role to play in your life. They don't know who they are anymore. They depended on your reaction to define themselves. And now, you're a wall, a mirror, a silence they can't fill. They'll call you arrogant, cold, distant. They'll say you've changed, that you think you're better than them, but all you did was stop bleeding for people who'd never even hand you a bandage. You learned that the ones who demand your energy the loudest are usually the ones who deserve it the least. And the ones who understand your silence, those are the ones who were listening the whole time. It's funny, isn't it, how much truth silence can carry? How it doesn't need proof, doesn't need permission, doesn't need applause. Just sits there, quiet and heavy, pressing down on everything fake until it cracks. It reveals who's real and who's performing, who can sit with themselves, and who needs a crowd to feel alive. You go silent and suddenly, everyone's a detective. They want to know what's wrong. They want answers, explanations, reasons. But you owe them nothing. Not your words, not your energy, not your presence. They were never really listening before. They just liked the noise, the distraction, the version of you that made them feel better about their own emptiness. But you've outgrown that. You've tasted the stillness, the kind that doesn't demand, the kind that nourishes. You're not here to soothe their demons anymore. You're not here to dim your light so they can avoid their shadows. You're not a prop in their drama, not a character in their script. You're the one tearing pages, breaking the fourth wall, laughing in the middle of the scene while everyone else is still pretending it's real. And that silence, it's your revolution. It's your sanctuary. It's your sword. Because sometimes the loudest thing you can say is nothing at all.